Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Sunday morning, the 13th of April. So we're leaving the Delphi case alone for today. Last few days I've been heavy on Delphi. Heavy on Delphi. I'm returning to Tennessee today to talk about the Sebastian Rogers case. But there's another case on the opposite side of the United States in Washington State. And this is a missing autistic young man, 21 years old, called Jonathan Hoang. And his case has had virtually no publicity at all. Some of the local media are covering it, but in comparison to the circus that Sebastian's case has become, Jonathan's case is just unknown. And he's been missing since the 30th of March. And the police have given up. So, let's discuss. As you know, if you've been following Sebastian's case, he was last seen on the evening of the 25th of February 2024. So we're soon going to be 14 months into Sebastian's case. He was last seen by his mother Katie as he was going to bed. She knew he was in his room about 10ish. She heard him in his room. She told him to go to sleep. She went to bed about midnight. She went to get him up for school at 6 a.m. the following day. That would be Monday, 26th of February 2024. And he wasn't there, and he hasn't been seen since. Now, there were some scent alerts, a bit confusing, and we've discussed this at length on this channel. But there were some scent alerts around the home, around the outside of the home. And then we had the first responding canine, Max, German Shepherd from Sumner County Sheriff's Office, started off here, tracked to the retention pond, and dove right into the pond. But he wasn't scent specific. Less than an hour later than that, because that was about 7:50. About 8:30, a bloodhound tracked up the top here in the direction of the construction site. And it was in that exact location that a shadowy figure had passed by about 8 hours before at 12:17 a.m. Was that Sebastian? We don't know. But that's it. There's been no sightings, and despite the massive circus, there is no explanation as to what happened to Sebastian. Sheriff Eric Craddock from Sumner County Sheriff's Office said there's no signs of foul play. The working theory has always been that he walked away of his own volition, but where did he go? Uncanny similarity though, the opposite side of the United States, over in Washington. And I did a video about Jonathan last week, and I just said Washington, and some people thought I meant Washington DC. No, Washington State. So what happened in Jonathan's case? Well, his family say that Jonathan likes going for walks. So unlike Sebastian's case, they knew that he wandered out and about, but he always told them that he was going out. It was March the 30th. Jonathan went to bed around 7:30, went to his room around 7:30, and his family just assumed he was in his room. It was only the next day when they realised that Jonathan had disappeared. He'd just gone. Exactly the same as Sebastian's case. So there was a big search in the first few days, but then the cops turned the case over to major crimes for some reason, even though there's no sign of a crime. And they've just refused to search for Jonathan. It's all very strange in this case. Now, it is very rural. There's lots of woods to the east, and then it's still rural to the west, but slightly more properties to the west. You've got the river, which if you go through the woods is a concern, but it's not dead close to Jonathan's house, and it's just all rural all the way around. So it is like looking for a needle in 1,000 haystacks. There is a Facebook group, Help Us Find Jonathan Hoang, Endangered and Missing Person, Arlington, Washington. This is an update from that group on April the 9th, so a few days ago now. This is really intriguing, and again, There's a bunch of similarities. An update about clothing. Jonathan's younger sister found Jonathan's missing clothing and had accidentally been sorted into her clean laundry. So they don't know at this time what clothes Jonathan was wearing. There was a description of Jonathan's clothing, but that is now not accurate because those clothes were in the house. So what was Jonathan wearing? Don't even know that. Again, this is from the family. We went door to door in the neighbourhood to recover all camera footage we've been able to recover. Thank you to the kind neighbours who also helped us with this effort. We found there is camera footage of every vehicle coming and going from the neighbourhood. This includes a camera that has 24-hour footage of every vehicle that enters and exits the neighbourhood. Now, I don't know where the cameras are in Jonathan's neighbourhood, but what we do know is where some of the cameras are in Sebastian's. And again, it's another uncanny similarity that there is a camera here on the corner of Stafford Court and Kelling Lane, which is a 24-hour surveillance camera. So that would have captured all vehicles coming from Stafford Court, and that's a cul-de-sac, so you can't get out the top there in a vehicle. And then there's a couple of cameras here which would have caught vehicles coming down Kelling. And yeah, you could go up Kelling, but at the time that Sebastian disappeared, this was very rough construction. So technically you could get out this way with a vehicle, but it would be a bumpy ride, shall we say. But there's cameras along this row of houses here. So likely they would have captured vehicles coming out. And the TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, have said that they've accounted for all the movements of vehicles in the neighbourhood during the time of Sebastian's disappearance. Okay, back to Jonathan's. The street that Jonathan is on ends in a cul-de-sac. Now, this is where it gets really intriguing. There is a visual of Jonathan heading home from his last walk of the day. I don't know what time that was, but earlier on in the day. He is never captured on camera on foot on the streets after this time. So again, like Sebastian, just disappeared. Multiple cameras, numerous cameras that potentially should have caught him, but didn't. The last time he was seen on camera or by anyone is still 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, March the 30th. We are begging the authorities to better examine the possibility he was taken or kidnapped, as search and rescue was unable to find any sign of him at all in the woods or on foot. Well, the woods are extensive. Just because they didn't find him in the first few days doesn't mean he's not there. And he could have got his way to the river. I don't know how deep that river is. I don't know how fast flowing that river is. There are dogs out there, and as far as we know, the dogs didn't get a track of Jonathan. As far as we know. I mean, that could be something that we're just not aware of. Exactly the same as Sebastian, although there were tracks in Sebastian's case, but law enforcement have said that, there was no tracks that led to Sebastian. Of course there isn't, because he's still missing. He is not a child, but he is a disabled adult. Those who knew him well, his family, teachers, doctor, and neighbours, know and have agreed he was not prone to wandering, and all the circumstances surrounding his disappearance should be cause for alarm. Again, like Sebastian's case, his parents said he wasn't prone to wandering. But how do we know what these young men were doing at night when the family was asleep? We don't know. And maybe, and this is just a speculation, maybe Jonathan went out. It's like 7:30 is his last known sighting at home. So it would have been dusk, I think, in Washington at that time. So it would have been going dark. What if he decided to go for a walk after his family had gone to bed? And he's not seen on any cameras because it's too dark. I don't know. Don't know that neighbourhood at all. I mean, is that neighbourhood well lit, or is it really dark at night? Like in Sebastian's neighbourhood, where there's the only lights, there's no street lights or anything, the only lights are from people's porch lights and things like that. He was happy in his home and at school. He is still in high school in a transition programme and asked my parents if he could stay in transition another year. He has no interest in living elsewhere. He told my parents more than once he wants to keep living with them. Each day he's been missing has been indescribably painful for our family. He is gentle, kind, funny, and so loved. Please help us find him. So Jonathan's date of birth is 8:30 03, 21 years old, white stroke Asian, brown hair, brown eyes, 5'10", 135 pounds, wearing, we don't know. We don't know. He does have a mole on the right inner forearm. He has high functioning autism. He responds to his name, but he's not got a great memory. So he might not remember things like phone numbers, and he might not be able to get home if he got lost. Has he been kidnapped or abducted, as his family fear? I mean, it's a possibility, but just because there's no sign of him doesn't mean to say he's not there. I think the search ended way too soon. Now, the family does have a private investigator. We'll talk about that again a little in a moment. Now, there was a call for action yesterday, April the 12th, to protest to the sheriff's office about the lack of urgency in this case. So the family say, we learnt late last week that Snohomish County Sheriff had grounds to issue an endangered missing persons alert on the first day of Jonathan's disappearance. They failed to issue it until Friday, April the 4th, only after multiple parties demanding this action be taken. Now, over on the east, Tennessee do issue Amber Alerts. Sebastian got an Amber Alert because he was 15 at the time of his disappearance. They issue Amber Alerts and Endangered Young Persons Alerts if there's any sign whatsoever that that person could be out there and in danger, of serious bodily injury or death. There doesn't have to be an abduction. There doesn't have to be signs of it, like in some states. So Tennessee are good in that respect. So I think Snohomish County sheriffs really missed the boat with getting the news out here. And again, like I said, there's virtually no one talking about Jonathan's case apart from some local media. I haven't seen anyone cover this on YouTube. Now, that doesn't mean to say people are not. I might just have missed it, but you can't find a lot about his case. So, after the large-scale search ended on Saturday, April 5th, we were told by the Sheriff's Office that Major Crimes will be taking over the case as they have confidence, after the thorough search, that he is not alive or deceased in the woods surrounding the property and neighbourhood. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. On 4/5, we were promised a point of contact at Major Crimes and that Jonathan's case had technically graduated to Major Crimes as of Friday, 4/4. We were told the search would continue on a much smaller and more strategic scale. Jonathan's family received texts and calls on Monday, 4/7, from the media about the search for Jonathan being suspended. The Snohomish County Sheriffs communicated this with the press, but not with us, his family. Unbelievable. Unreal. At least law enforcement in Sebastian's case have been talking to the family. They've not given us very many updates, but they have been keeping the family apprised of things. We found out from reporters asking to take our statements on the search for Jonathan being concluded after less than a week of searching. I cannot tell you how broken we were upon learning and hearing of this. We asked multiple times for a contact at Major Crimes. We employed a PI to help us continue the search, who was referred to us by a current Seattle police officer. This PI has experience working and collaborating closely with law enforcement. Despite this, the Major Crimes have not done any active investigating. This includes speaking to any of Jonathan's neighbours. Oh, wow. If they've not done the basic, like camera trawl, that is insane. The family have got the camera footage. That is insane. That is insane. Now, as the family have been around the neighbours, they just say, no, we haven't spoken to any cops. They've not been here. So I haven't spoken to any of Jonathan's neighbours, teachers or school staff. Major Crimes has not reviewed the video footage that the Snohomish County Sheriff asked Jonathan's family to collect. Major Crimes has not yet received or seriously considered any of the leads that RPI has offered. Unbelievable. Our family's neighbourhood is small, rural, and ends in dead ends and cul-de-sacs. Along with almost every neighbour offering their ring and security footage, one neighbour provided us with a 24/7 4K video feed of every vehicle coming and going from Jonathan Street. Major Crimes has still not reviewed the footage that the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office directed his family to collect. Major Crimes has not investigated any of the leads RPI has provided. A detective from Major Crimes met with Jonathan's family on Tuesday, well, at least that's something. He said pursuing Jonathan's case by looking at the videos or talking to teachers or neighbours was not a good use of their time or resources. Well, what are you doing then? What are you doing? Because look at Shadow Man in Sebastian's case. The cops say they were aware of Shadow Man 72 hours after Sebastian went missing. But have they cleared that person? Do they know who that person is? It's probably impossible to ID the person from the image alone, but if they've gone round the neighbours and someone says, yeah, I was out there at 12:17, have they even got that? We don't know. But in Jonathan's case, they're not even going to look. And it took Sebastian's PI, Steve Fisher, SF Investigates, 3 trials through that footage before that figure was seen. So easy to miss someone. They should be looking at that footage again and again and again for shadow men. Vehicles easy to spot. Not so a person in the dark. Many neighbours are upset that they still haven't been talked to or questioned at all. What if a neighbour had done something to him? What if a family member had done something to him? What are they doing? I'm not saying that any of them have, but how are Major Crimes investigating this if they're not questioning people? This is insane. This is the worst investigation I think I've probably ever witnessed. We now feel unsafe in our own homes. Other kids with autism and small children also live in the same neighbourhood who deserve to be protected. How do they know that there's not an abductor out there? What are Major Crimes actually doing in this case? In all the video footage, Jonathan is not pictured on the road. SAR could not locate him in the woods. Leaving in the night without his own shoes, jacket, phone, and without saying anything to anyone is a huge deviation from Jonathan's norm, as was thought so in Sebastian's case. Gone out without shoes, jacket, phone. Now, they did say that his iPad was missing, so he could have taken his iPad with him. Why did Jonathan go out? Why did Sebastian go out? Did they just go for a walk? Is this something that they did that their families are not aware of? I've been saying that all along in Sebastian's case. It could also be possible in Jonathan's case. I don't know. We can only say it's a huge surprise to the family. Every member of Jonathan's family, Jonathan's neighbours and Jonathan's teachers, doctor and speech-language pathologist are all in agreement on this piece. Something or someone drew him out of his home. Now, Jonathan does have tech. He does have a phone. He does have an iPad. Did he go to meet someone? Is the deviation from his norm because he went to meet someone? That's a huge possibility. Huge. So what Major Crimes should be doing is tracing all of the vehicles out of that neighbourhood from 7:30 p.m. to the following day. They should be tracing every vehicle, so saying that the camera footage isn't useful and not questioning people in the neighbourhood is absolutely tragic. It's insane. I can't say that word anymore, but it is. It is. Something or someone drew him out of his home. Someone knows something. Since the search and rescue search on Saturday, 11 days after Jonathan was last seen, Major Crimes have done no active investigating of our case. An advocate reached out to the FBI on our behalf. They instructed her to have Jonathan's sister follow up immediately with additional information and for following steps to be taken. 1. File a formal complaint to the Internal Affairs to launch an investigation of the mishandling of an endangered missing persons case. Absolutely. And 2, file a complaint to the local Attorney General. Both actions have been taken. Good. We are asking the public to participate in protest and to contact local officials and authorities to advocate for Jonathan's case to be not only investigated but handled by a different entity entirely than the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office. They have demonstrated gross negligence and mishandling of Jonathan's case along with an alarming lack of care and urgency. At minimum, Jonathan's family demand a more experienced and willing Major Crimes detective take over who wants to find Jonathan as much as the family do and who will work alongside their PI to find him. It's very clear at this point that Jonathan did not leave on his own. To help and support Jonathan's family, please consider the following. Neighbourhoods are organising a physical protest 1 to 3 p.m. at the corner of Smoky Point Boulevard. So that happened yesterday. Jonathan's neighbours feel unsafe in the neighbourhood and are frustrated that Major Crimes has not even taken the time to interview them. A simple first step in an unresolved missing persons case. It is. It is. That should have been done on day one. At least that was done on day one in Sebastian's case. Together, we will amplify our voices and demand that law enforcement treat Jonathan's disappearance with the urgency and diligence it deserves. You know, all of the people who are jumping up and down about Sebastian's case, why are you not jumping up and down about the injustice here for Jonathan's family? Where are you? Where are you? All you people with voices, where are you? You know, where are you? Because the case isn't public enough. The case won't get you the clicks that you need. It's just so sad that this case has had no publicity apart from some local media. Thank all that is holy for Jonathan's family, who've been so proactive, got a PI, they've done everything they can do. And they're now having to, amidst the grief of Jonathan disappearing off the face of the earth, they've got to handle a complaints procedure now. Unbelievable. You should be angry. All you guys who are saying that there's injustice in Sebastian's case, where are you? I'm not saying go and harangue the family have done nothing. I'm not saying go and harass the neighbours, but where's your voice? This is a genuine injustice. Unlike Sebastian's case, where there's no genuine injustice, law enforcement have done all they can in Sebastian's case, but in this case there is genuine injustice. Where are you? Where is your voice? I urge everybody, share this video far and wide, share Jonathan's Facebook group far and wide, share his posters far and wide, and make your voice heard. We asked everyone to post and tag any news outlet or community figure about Jonathan's case of disappearance. Use the hashtag #NoLeadsIgnored to raise awareness at the lack of police engagement and to ensure no lead in Jonathan's case is overlooked. Call our local Attorney General to advocate for Jonathan's case to be pursued, reassigned to another organisation, or given to a willing and competent detective who is eager to partner with RPI, understands the urgency of our case and pursues active leads. Call 425-257-2170 to demand action. Call the Sheriff's Office at 425-388-3411 and demand action. Call Sheriff Susanna Johnson. As the elected sheriff, she holds ultimate responsibility for law enforcement actions in Snohomish County. She offered to speak to an advocate of our family and has not returned any calls the past 2 days. Call 425-508-3009 to demand action. Call Bureau Chief Rob Martin. He oversees special operations, investigations including major crimes and search and rescue, which are both involved in the case. Call 425-388-3467 to demand action. RPI is actively investigating leads. Valuable time has been wasted in trying to get law enforcement to take any sort of action or involvement. He has stated he cannot be as effective if law enforcement does not collaborate. If you'd like to support, any amount, large or small, is appreciated, and that's the GoFundMe for the family. That's Jonathan's sister talking about the protest. Got some media. Major Crimes has done no investigating. That's based on the information that I've just shared. So that's local media about the protest. I mean, look, make your voice heard. Especially if you're in Washington State. Make your voice heard. I do have some people in Washington who watch my channel, so please make your voice heard. And if you're in anywhere near this community and you've not heard of this case, there's a reason for that. It's because there's been no publicity at all. So again, share any media that you can about this case, share this video far and wide, share Jonathan's poster, share the Facebook group. I'll leave a link to that in the description box. And let's make Jonathan visible on social media. Let's demand action for Jonathan. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.